Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. This is going to be a short video where we're going to have a look at the business activity monitoring feature of Serverless 360 to show how we can use it to monitor Azure integration services. This is the first in a series of videos. This is going to be a real simple introduction to show how you can get up and running using it to monitor logic apps. So to begin with, we're going to assume you already know a little bit about business activity monitoring, where it fits, what Serverless 360 offers. This is the kind of the most basic hello world scenario that you can do with a logic app. So to begin with, we're going to have a simple logic app. I'm going to trigger it where I can use either Postman or I can just use the portal's trigger. It's going to do a bunch of work, so we'll have some shapes in there. For demo purposes, we're just going to really do something dead simple, but the idea is that I've got this logic app that's doing some work and I need to be able to display information about how it's running to a business user or a support operator who doesn't really want to know all the low-level technical detail of the logic app. They just need to know how the process is running. So what we'll do is in the logic app we're going to instrument our process using the BAM checkpoint shape. And what that'll effectively do is pass some information to the Serverless 360 BAM service, and that'll let us build a process up of how it's going to run. In the BAM feature of Serverless 360, I'll be able to create something like an activity diagram over on the left here, and that'll indicate the stages as I go through my business process. This is a very linear process because it's a really simple scenario. And the logic app implementation that we'll look at, I'll use the start transaction shape, and then I'll use some checkpoints to indicate as I go through the process. So if we have a quick look at a demo then, so let's start with our logic app. In fact, actually let's start with our BAM process. So in the business processes here, I've got my transaction number 1 basic demo. When I've set this up, I can use the designer here to add new shapes, etc. So you can see they appear on the diagram here, and you know, you can set them up and configure them. But in this case, I've got stage 1 and stage 2. So you can see here I've indicated they executed a logic app. I can specify some information about these shapes, and really it's just a simple linear process. There's nothing particularly special about it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate in my logic app when these shapes execute. So if we go over to the portal in Azure, and we'll have a look at the logic app that relates to this. So what I've done is here I'm going to trigger it with a receive shape, and I've added the 2 shapes here for BAM. So first off, we've got this start transaction shape. I'm going to pass in the message body to it if I want that tracked, but all I really need to say is what's the name of the business process, what's the name of the transaction, what's the name of the shape, and was it successful or not. I'm then going to go and do some work, so I'll just simulate that with a delay shape, and then I'll do a checkpoint where I'll pass the ID from the transaction start shape, and I'll just say for stage 2 indicate it was success. And in this case I could indicate that the transaction's now complete. There's only 2 checkpoints in this shape. I could do more checkpoints if things were more complicated, but as this is a really simple demo, we'll just end the transaction at that point. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick look in Serverless 360. So I've got my composite application structure here, and I've got a demo for business process 1. I've added a logic app resource up here, so you can see I've got a few runs in the run history. Everything's been going quite well. I should have some dashboard information starting to come up about some of the things of how my logic app's been working and that kind of thing. We'll go into those another time. The bit I'm really interested in is the BAM section down here. So in my shape I can have a look at some of the things that have been running. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to just run my logic app. So that's going to run in the Azure portal. We should see that come up in a second, and I can see it's now in process. So back over in Serverless 360 we should see that my transaction's already started, and you can see that the yellow here indicates that it's currently in progress, and I can see that stage 1's executed. I can have a look at the details that were passed in for stage 1 if I want to, and you know, that's all looking good so far. So I now just need to wait until my transaction's complete, which we can see it has now, and over in the logic app, well, that's all done as well. So if I well, I've already refreshed just before anyway, but you can see the first row at the top here is the most recent run. You can see stage 2 is also complete now, and everything was good there. So the idea being that if you're supporting this application, rather than having to worry about all of the technical complexity of a logic app that might have many shapes in, there might, you know, if you think about the milestones as you go through the process that's executing, you can create a much simpler representation of how that's doing to show the support operator how far it's got if things were successful. And that would be a sort of really simple introduction to how to use that business activity monitoring feature. So in summary, we use the BAM actions in a logic app, and that allows us to easily instrument our logic app or our integration solutions with business telemetry. So if we take a moment to just understand that telemetry, there's two kinds: the technical telemetry that your specialists, low-level developers, etc., needs. There's many different solutions for that, but the business telemetry that the people in the business care about and the people supporting the application, they tend to need that higher level where they don't need all the complexity, they just need to know the key bits. That's really what BAM's all about. And you know, today with it, the quick video shows how easy it is. We just add those couple of shapes, a little bit of information about what that checkpoint is that relates to our business process, and then suddenly we've got this easy to use management of our complex integration process. So thanks for listening to this quick nugget video. Hopefully this series will be useful to people as we develop the different scenarios we can look at.